Hey guys, look what I found. It's a geocache. If you haven't heard about geocaching, you need to look it up. It's a treasure hunting game played across the world. I think there are almost 400 of these in Branson alone. But what if you were a real live treasure hunter? And what if you solved a century-old mystery only to discover an even bigger one? Well, today is our third and final segment about a lost gold mine. The legend of the Lost Dutchman's Mine is a treasure tale of gold said to be hidden in the Superstition Mountains of Arizona. If you've never heard of this 125-year-old mystery, you've been spared its deadly lure. Many have gone looking, only to find failure at best, fatality at worst. Because along with gold, there's said to be a curse. Prospectors who've gone missing, along with strange or sudden death. Walter Gassler was one of these. He'd been looking for the mine for 53 years when he invited Arizona Attorney General Bob Corbin to join him as a trustworthy partner. Gassler said he'd figured out the puzzle. He'd found the mine. He wanted Corbin to accompany him that day. But Corbin was unable. Gassler went alone. And later that week, on May 4th, 1984, Gassler's body was found. Curiously, it was propped upright on a rock, as if he were enjoying the scenery. The death was ruled a heart attack. But does the Dutchman's curse apply to those who seek without gain? Arcana Exploration and Discovery is a group who will soon make an 8th and final expedition to what they believe is the site of the lost Dutchman's gold mine. In September of 2019, they reached a vent hole, which by all accounts matches the description made by the Dutchman Jacob Waltz, from whom the legend began. Later that day at the Phoenix airport, the expert climber who'd earlier laid eyes on the chisel marks made by Jacob Waltz collapsed. Suffering a head injury from the fall, he was hospitalized and later released. No cause for his collapse was identified, and today he's okay. One may wonder if the outcome would have been worse had the group been seeking gold. The Arcana team is motivated instead by friendships and the shared experience of the journey. There are reams of pages chronicling the legend, documentaries, podcasts, and message boards where searchers debate clues and discredit claims. Many say they've found the mine. Arcana has proof. Most begin at Weaver's Needle, a prominent location mentioned in the clues. Arcana founder Jeff Howlett decided to throw out this common clue, which he believes is a red herring. Howlett contends Weaver's Needle is falsely identified for another, different clue, an outcropping known as El Sombrero, or the Hat on a Mountain. Arcana confirms that one can see Weaver's Needle to the south from above the mine, as cited in one of the clues. However, there's another peak nearby that looks like a sombrero that no one, other than Arcana, has photographed and shared. This sombrero-like peak is near the site of the mine, as documented in the clues. There are hundreds of peaks and valleys in these mountains, and hundreds of pictures online, but the only picture of this sombrero mountain appears on the Arcana website, most likely because no one else has found it. Another clue, found and documented only by Arcana, are the 4 peaks to the north that look like one. Many prospectors believe this is a bogus clue, that it's impossible for any 4 peaks to look like they are one. But Jeff Howlett has shown me, in confidence, a photograph, which I can validate, is 4 peaks appearing as one. While Jeff shared much evidence with me, both on the record and off, he's careful not to disclose any details or photographs, such as those with the horizon, which might reveal the location. As a caveat, he did share some never-seen-before photos, including this one. The triangular marker you see in this photo is pointing upwards towards the mine, which is only 15 feet away. What's most interesting is that the marker has Jesuit origins. Howlett's not certain the marker is directing followers to the Dutchman's mine. He thinks it might be something else, something that needs further exploration. There are other markers and symbols that appear to be made by the Jesuits at that same site as the lost mine. Howlett believes the Peralta stones did not originate with the Mexican Peralta family. Rather, he believes, based on the clues on the site, that the stones have Jesuit origins. And that's not all. This area, Howlett says, is unlike any other. He said it's a small bird's nest in a forest of oak trees. One little area that drew so many peoples from different centuries. The Dutchman, whose mine entrance is still shrouded. The Peraltas, whose mining rubble is still apparent. The Jesuits, whose skilled masonry is evident. And the Mesoamerican people whose ancient sculpture still stands. Photo proof released exclusively to Intrigue Journal shows a structure noted by many across time. The archaeological carving noted by Jacob Waltz. A face in the mountain near the family's Alpha mine noted by a Peralta daughter. It is perhaps the thunder god known to be worshipped by the Apache in a location they called the sacred space of the ancients. The evidence in the area suggests the ancients were Mesoamerican people and likely were the sculptors of that monument. Perspective is a challenge when looking at the picture. While the monument appears to be no larger than an exercise ball, it's nearly 4 feet tall. Howlett didn't want to say much more about the Mesoamerican findings before the book release, but he and the team were stunned.
That was the biggest shocker, and that would change American history with what we have up there. That's for someone else to decide, but what we have has never been found in America's Southwest. Nothing quite like this. Okay, so where's the Martian ship? I don't care, because I know what we have, and a lot of couple professors, archaeologists, geologists, historian Howard, people that are pretty smart, have looked at this stuff and gone, that's crazy. And when you think about it, that might be bigger than the lost Dutchman. Sorry, Dutchman hunters, but
the team set off to enjoy a journey, and they did what no one else had done. After their final expedition, they'll turn it over to the state. A tidy bow on a legend and a new riddle to unwrap. Throughout our conversations, Howlett referred to the location as being a little strange, different than any other place around. He said Mother Earth and volcanic eruptions had created one of the craziest places. He also said sometimes his guys would be spooked, and that there are things on the site that are hard to explain. That he and his team are not the sort to believe in oddities, but of the area, he says, if spirits exist, they're probably here. Spooky! All right, you guys, let's see what's in this treasure together. I waited for you. It doesn't make any noise when I shake it. Maybe there's nothing. There's something, a little paper. It's like a fortune cookie without the cookie. Okay, this is for everybody. Even the worst days will one day be a cherished memory. That's good. You guys cherish this day and all of them.